tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
First of all, I've never ignored that. In fact, I've done video after video about that. Yeah. I brought on Whitney Webb. We did an hour about Trump's connections and J.D. Vance's connections.
It's not enough, Jimmy. So, do more.
The idea that I'm ignoring it is not true. That's not. But you can't ignore the fact that the deep state tried to kill him. You can't ignore that. So there could be two things happening at once, right? So,
and if you think Kamal is better, you're a fuckwit. If you are that fucking dumb that you think Kamala is the better choice, don't even make the argument you made, moron.
That's what I've been saying. They're not trying to kill Joe Biden, and they're not trying to kill Kamala. So you can't deny that that's happening. And, Bobby Kennedy actually has some kind of good ideas about our food supply and going up and COVID and vaccine safety. And there's nothing. I'm just telling you the facts. There's nothing in Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is straight up deep state, straight up. So I'm not ignoring any of that. I've talked about Trump's connections and who funds him and all that stuff. When I had Alex Jones on the live show, the Rumble Time show, I grilled him about, hey, Donald Trump said he was going to drain the swamp, and he didn't. He put the swamp right in his cabinet. And, he didn't do any of the stuff. The only thing he didn't do was start wars. And he had the silly idea that the president should control the intelligence community and the military. And that's why they have to kill him.
Hey, Sean, I don't vote, buddy. I don't believe in America. And I'm telling you, if you actually think Kamal is better, you are just a supreme
He's
dumbass.
Not saying that, is he? Did you think that's what that guy was saying? I don't think that.
Oh, what is that supposed to mean? Oh, you're ignoring Trump's thing. Dumbass. What does it matter? Whatever Trump. Are you stupid? Did you watch the Democratic convention? Have you heard any of their records? What are you talking about?
All right. Sean, take that. Sean, I want to thank you for your generosity, Sean. Now it gets better. Here, Sean comes in with a little bit of twists and turns. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Love JD show! ! I unite with anyone to do right and nobody to do wrong.
That's
RFK,
right.
Then don't vote. Don't vote.
All right, now get ready. RFK and Cornell tweeted support for each other today.
I saw it.
In the spirit of reconciliation and love, can JD ask West/Stein back on for a conversation?
Why?
Jimmy?
We're going to cover that. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover that.
No.
All right.
I'm sure they'd be right back on, too, if you asked.
So watch this. You're not going to... Yeah, I don't think... First of all, Jill Stein wouldn't come on the show, and Cornel West wouldn't come on the show. We had to twist his arm for months and months just to get him to come on the show the first time.
And then he suddenly had a cutout.
And then he had to leave early.
We thought we had an hour with you.
Nobody likes to be... Nobody... Just get this into your head. Nobody likes to be challenged from the left. Cornel West loves to be challenged by the right. That's why he goes on MSNBC and CNN and Fox. He'll go on all those shows because it's easy to be challenged from the right. It's when I challenged him from the left was that caused a real problem. And that's
he's in the boule. Cornell's boule. Look it up if you know what that is, Sean.
And he started I don't know what that is, but he started calling me a Trump supporter and things like that. And this was a year ago.
Yeah, he's a phony and he's a puppet of somebody. So what do you care what he comes on or not? He's a puppet. He didn't want to run. Jill Stein had to make him run. Remember, she said that.
But I will join with Cornel West if he wants to do good. I will join with Jill Stein if she wants to do good. I'll join with them. They didn't want to join with me. that was the problem there.
Yeah, if he's going to reconcile Brother Fauci, he can go fuck himself.
Yeah, we're gonna I'm gonna address all that in a segment coming up. But right now, I want to show you RFK went on Fox News and he called out the FDA's funding. Watch this.
Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
No, I wouldn't dismantle them. I would change the focus and I would end the corruption. Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies. That is a perverse incentive. In NIH, scientists and officials in NIH who work on drug development, who incubate drugs for the pharmaceutical company, get to collect lifetime royalties from those products. These are regulators. They're supposed to be looking for problems in those products. We have these agencies that have become sock puppets for the industries they're supposed to regulate. So they're not really interested in public health. Everybody, the most profitable thing today in America is a sick child. Everybody's making money. The hospitals are making money. The pharmaceutical companies are making money. Even the insurance companies make money. And we need to end those perverse incentives. We need to get the corruption out of FDA, out of NIH, out of CDC, and make them function as they're supposed to function, which is to protect public health and particularly children's health.
Boy, no wonder all my shit-lib Hollywood friends are saying RFK Jr. has had that worm eat his brain entirely with crazy talk like that. Am I right?
Yeah.
What kind of
Why is
raving?
that? Yeah.
What kind of raving lunatic would want to end the corruption in the Food and Drug Administration? What kind of babbling nutcase would demand healthy children in America? This is the land where you're supposed to take a pill that makes you crap your pants, and then another pill to control your depression about the fact that you just shit your pants. That's what this country is.
It's not even a joke. That's real. That's 100%.
That's
real.
100. I know, not even a real. I mean, not even a joke. You know, they say there is a corporate conflict of interest, but I think just as large a problem is the absolute lack of interest in the fact that this is happening. There is a lack of interest in this corporate conflict of interest.
Well, that's where mind control comes in, Jimmy.
Yes.
How do you manage it? It's just sleight of hand. You look over here, and then I take your watch.
I mean, dogs are harder to train than humans are. You just breed humans to think that they are better than everyone else and then tell them that they're smart if they take your product. And that's
well, also,
it.
you prime them with a lot of poison first.
Yes.
Don't forget that. You start feeding them SSRIs and lead in their Cocoa Puffs, or
Yeah.
whatever else the hell you do.
Seed
And then
oils.
The people that aren't sterile, which a bunch of your friends probably are barren, childless people, right? The other ones in Hollywood, their kids are weird, medicated gender blobs, formless and amorphous, and told what to be at a moment's notice.
So I want to just play you the top of this again, because this is interesting, right?
Is it fair to say that you would try to dismantle some of those organizations?
No, I wouldn't dismantle them. I would change the focus, and I would end the corruption. Right now, 75% of FDA's budget is coming from pharmaceutical companies.
Well, first, so what? 75% of the FDA's budget comes from pharmaceutical companies. You got to make everything negative, RFK? Those payments to the FDA are merely in gratitude for keeping the pharmaceutical companies honest.
Hey, Jimmy, I think I could put this in shitlib terms. Imagine it was your job to keep an eye on what Russia was up to, and 75% of your pay came from Russia. So if you're a dumb shitlib, try to get that in your head. A bad guy like Russia, and you're supposed to keep an eye on them because they're bad. Imagine if they paid most of your salary doing that job.
Well, guess what? The FDA saw him say that 75% of their money comes from Big Pharma, and they pushed back. You want to see how they pushed back?
This
First of
should
all,
be
I'll
great.
explain to you that they're being deceptive in their pushback, but look how they push back. So Kaylee Means, that guy who wrote that book, the #1 bestseller about nutrition, he says you can't make this up. In response to the claim that 50% of the US FDA's budget comes from pharma, the agency released an official statement saying, no, it's only 47%.
I look, if you can put that statement out and not immediately just get dismantled for that, do you think you have a real country? I mean, like, someone must have looked at this and been like, yeah, that's a good explanation.
But here's the deceptive part of their explanation, which should be horrible. This is 40. Oh, so only almost half of your money comes from Big Pharma? Like that's
makes all
okay?
difference.
So this figure is not accurate, as industry user fees only make up about 47% of the FDA's total agency budget. Well, we're not talking about the total agency budget. As the New York Times even told you, the FDA's drug industry fees fuel concern over influence. The pharmaceutical industry's finances about 75% of the agency's drug division. So they're saying their total thing. No, what he's talking about is their drug division. So 75% of their drug division is financed by Big Pharma, according to the New York Times. This
Well,
is
if
a
only Pablo Escobar could have funded the FDA, he could have not had to be killed for smuggling cocaine.
Oh, wait a minute. He does. Anyway, the figure is not so they're saying 47% of the total. So we're not talking about the total FDA's budget. We're talking about the budget that deals with regulating big pharma. And guess how much you get for that part? You get 75% of your money. So do you see how when the FDA has to lie to you about that, can you trust them about anything? The answer is no.
And what's the name of the person? It says the person's name is FDA spokesperson.
Yeah, it says FDA spokesperson.
No name. Just call me FDA spokesperson. A shadowy FDA figure says
It is important to note that food color additives fall under the food program.
it's important to note that you're a bot. Whoever said that.
Even the New York Times is onto their lies. Even the New York Times is onto it. So
Hey,
that's
why even bother to lie? Because no one cared. Why even bother to lie when most of the people don't even care or think about it?
So, but yeah, that's the weird thing. Most people don't care.
On to Kamala. Never mind the lockdown and the poison that they put in your kids, or they couldn't go to school.
So
on to Kamala.
This isn't technically a lie, but this is deceptive. And here is the truth. The pharmaceutical industry finances about 75% of the agency's drug division through a controversial program that Congress must reauthorize by the end of this month. Oh, when was this from? I forget. But so...
By the way, lie. The next time lie. Don't try to do a half-assed deception because it didn't...
Yeah.
If I didn't know the 75%, I would still say go fuck yourself.
So what they're... So how this got started was... people in the big pharma wanted to fund the FDA because then they could have control of it.
Right. But on paper, it was, well, they make so much profit, they should share some of that.
They should share the burden for our budget of regulating them. That's what.
Oh,
but
I guess that makes sense to incentivize them to approve everything.
Yeah. But as Kurt said, imagine if your job was to keep tabs on Russia and Russia gave you 75% of the money to do that. Just imagine that. Okay. Over to Steph.
Okay, Jimmy. Thank you so much. Let's see what I have here, ladies and gentlemen. SS, Caitlin Johnstone, both Trumpism and anti-Trumpism are fake. Decoy revolutions. Thank you for that one.
That's true.
Malcolm, Trump assembling a Democrat rogues gallery with this Tulsi Gabbard endorsement following RFK. Who do you guys think will be the next one to endorse him? Malcolm.
I don't know. Let's go. But here.
Oh boy, back to Jim.
So here is RFK. He's going to tell you what I've been talking about seed oils and all the garbage that's in our food, which is why I don't eat packaged food anymore. I only eat fresh food cooked by a human. Let's watch this.
Why should people be worried about these kind of products?
Seed oils are one of the most unhealthy ingredients that we have in foods. And seed oils, the reason they're in the foods is because they're heavily subsidized. They're very, very cheap, but they are associated with all kinds of very, very serious illnesses, including body-wide inflammation.
Right.
Which affects all of our health. It's one of the worst things you can eat, and it's almost impossible to avoid. If you eat any processed food, you're going to be eating seed oil.
Right, and it's interesting the government subsidizes it. Why would the government want to subsidize something that's going to make people sick, and then in the end, we all end up paying for that in terms of healthcare costs, which are skyrocketing?
Yeah, because that is a direct result of corruption. About 75% of FDA's budget comes from regulated industry, and that means food processors and pharmaceutical industry. All of them profit from a sick population.
You know, a big item that, and by the way, it's getting very expensive, are cereals. Why is the food coloring in particular bad?
Food coloring, you see here yellow food coloring, that is a petroleum product. Mm-hmm. It's associated with really, with depression. It's associated with autoimmune injuries and ADHD.
Yeah.
Did you know any of that? Did you know that food coloring is associated with any of that stuff? Depression, ADHD? I had no idea. I did know that when I went to Europe, there's like Gatorade colors that they don't sell there.
Yeah, right.
There's lots of food coloring they don't sell there. And that's what he's talking about here, that you can only get these certain food colorings in the United States. Other countries have outlawed them. Why? Because they're not as corrupt as the United States. So here we go.
And red dye also is very bad. In Europe, the same companies are producing the same products, but they're using natural coloring. But here they can get away with it. We have about almost 1,000 chemicals that are in our food that are either outright banned in Europe or actively discouraged. So you wouldn't be able to buy this kind of stuff in Europe. You ask about why it's so cheap, why it's so ubiquitous. It's because we subsidize the worst foods. We subsidize it with about 70% of our food stamp program is to processed foods, which are all poison.
Right. One of the things that's interesting is you'll see on labels, natural flavors, which is this catch-all phrase that I guess was lobbied for, but the ingredients in natural flavors are not really natural.
No. In our country, natural flavors are chemical products. So you can't trust what's on the ingredient label. And the reason for that, again, is government corruption. It's that the agency, the USDA, the FDA have been captured by the industries they're supposed to regulate, and they all have an interest in subsidies and then in mass poisoning the American public.
Yeah, I want to talk about pesticides, and then let's talk about the policy. So let's talk about the pesticides and the things that worry you about. I mean, this looks like fresh food, right? What should I be worried about here?
Yeah, I mean, the irony is, like, for example, my wife loves kale, and she had the impression that kale is actually good for you. If it's organic, it's very good for you, but most kale and strawberries, for example, grapes, are contaminated with pesticides, and particularly the Environmental Working Group has found what they call the dirty dozen, some of the worst pesticides on these products. So, I look at a strawberry and I think, oh, this is a healthy food. Right. But in most cases, unless it's organic, certified organic, you are getting something that's actually hurting you.
Great.
What a crazy person. What a nut job. What a mental case, huh? Oh, that guy, woo, he's really woo.
It makes me laugh at people that don't do any drugs or alcohol. Like, hey, you might as well, fatso, because guess what?
Yeah.
You're getting fat from chemicals anyway.
I remember one time I ate a big bowl of grapes.
Yeah.
And my stomach hurt so bad. I'm like, why would my stomach hurt after eating grapes?
Why was it?
I'm gonna guess the pesticides that they used. That's my guess.
Yeah. Yeah, mate. Who the hell knows?
And so now, I only
Bill
eat.
Gates can help.
I only eat stuff that's organic. If I eat fruits or vegetables, I try to eat stuff that's organic. But
I only eat Bill Gates appeal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, these rubber grapes are hurting.
So that's everything we've been talking about. I found it from this guy, wasn't he, Bobby Parrish on YouTube. He talks all about this stuff. About all the garbage that's in your food. You don't want to eat it.
And then how you're supposed to properly wash them. Is it with baking soda that he wants you to wash them with?
Oh, yeah. There's a way to get rid of that, or to try to get rid of it. But I just don't eat it. I just don't eat that stuff that's sprayed with chemicals. It's another reason why I quit smoking pot, because the pot I was smoking, I know was sprayed with chemicals. So I think you can get organic pot. But so anyway, that was another good idea I had. All right, so good for Bobby Kennedy. Look, he's on Fox. Look at Fox News, who fired Tucker Carlson for bringing him on and telling the truth about the COVID and things. That was the final straw. Tucker was already on thin ice because he was telling you the truth about the Ukraine war and the Syrian war and the deep state and the open borders and all that stuff you're not supposed to talk about.
You're not supposed to mention George Soros on Fox News.
It's amazing to me that people try to come at me like I'm some kind of crazy anti-immigrant if I talk about the border.
What people, though? Online? Because they're probably fake.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right.
100%. I get like 2 of them that come in, and I go, I'm like, is this a person? And I look, and it'll be like basketball stuff mixed, like they're trying to make it look like a person. Before you believe anything you see online, dude, I would make them do that diagram. Like, tell me how many fire hydrants are in the pictures before I acknowledge you as a person. You know?
Okay. So you should rewind this and watch that a couple times, because the food coloring, the pesticides, the seed oils, everything we're eating is like poison. That's why we have chronic illness. That's why we have obesity. That's why we have all those disorders that he talked about, ADHD. That's what's going on in America. Did you know that in California, 1 in 22, the stat is 1 in 22 kids have autism?
I would say that sounds about right. Probably more. I would say it's probably higher than that, Jimmy.
I mean, and
I would say it's probably higher. Why are they making these new blue-haired, can only focus on one thing?
Why aren't they investigating it? Why isn't there a national commission on investigating why this is happening?
Because they're very programmable, and that's the goal, is to make more of these people that are of indeterminate and everything, and they are physically weak, and they
act like you're some kind of mental defective if you want to investigate it.
I want to know why Greta Thunberg looks like that. I want to know. The Swedes are a robust people, and then you got this runty, maybe at most 3 generations away from a big head gray alien. At most. She's a prototype, Jimmy.
Okay, over to Steph.
All right, thank you.
How many more do we got?
2. You got to go? You could go.
I got to do a spot.
All right, go ahead.
All right, Brett. I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Bye, dude. Arty Blarty Fart Blast. Neat handle. Medhurst arrested. George W. Bush not arrested. Enough said. Thank you, Arty Blarty. Hey, Trump. Looks like you have an arrow up. Military money. Arming Azov Nazis, bragging on seizing Syrian oil, drone Soleimani, and put the executive seal on Warp Speed and CARES Act. Bueller. Sean. Thank you, Sean. Okay. Let's see here. Hannister says, a lot of autism is due to infant neglect, lack of physical contact as babies. Oh, yes, I hear you on that, but we're seeing there's such an excess. I don't think that increase, the horrific increase, has to do with all of that. I think it has a lot to do with what they're injecting our babies with. Jack, thank you, Jack, for your generosity of spirit. Much appreciated. Viva el Cuerpo Mexicano. That comes from my real name. Under modern capitalism, the regulated regulate their regulators. The regulated regulate their regulators. P.W. Walker. I don't think I did that justice. Hello, JD, Steph, Kurt, and Misha. On all your 9/11 interviews, has anyone mentioned that the airplanes that hit the towers were not commercial airplanes? Vegan Z.
No.
Thank you for that, Vegan Z. Back to Jim.
McIlhany, you successfully hit metal 17 times, so you are now proud owner of this photograph of motorcar. I am happy. But property is theft, so you are now under arrest. Well enough.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit
Isn't it swell? The memes make themselves. They found a rabbit hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running the system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just move babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years all you've gotten is a slap in the face? All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.